Hi, I'm Vinnie Corbo, and today I'm going to tell you about 4 drummers that I think you should know about because you might want to use them for your upcoming recording. As we all know, the drummer sets the tone for the entire song, the entire session. Their groove defines what the song's going to sound like, what it's going to feel like. In many ways, they're the most important part of the song. So picking the right drummer for your project is very important. There's 4 characteristics about each drummer that I'm going to talk about. The first is how I know them, how we work together, what's my relationship. The second is what makes them unique. The third is going to be a heads up on them, and it's not in no way meant to be perceived as a shortcoming. It's more meant to be like, this is something about them you should know, so when you hire them, be prepared for this. Heads up. And the fourth one is a surprising fact about them that you may not know, especially if you've worked with them before or considering it. So the first drummer is Sammy Punky Balfour. I met Sammy when I hired him several years ago when I was doing some work for Dawes Drums. I hired him to do the instructional videos and some of the print ad campaigns. Great guy. We just hit it off. Amazing energy. Really brought it. And I really liked the way he played. Punky is on 6 of my albums, and that's for good reason, because he really plays well, really records well, and he's just dynamite to work with. I've also done many live shows with him. He's great live, too. What makes Punky unique is he has the ability to really drive a song. I'm talking about that downward leading, pushing forward feel. Not every drummer can do this, but it's that sense of urgency. It's that sense of like, we're really pushing this band along. It's husky. You feel like he's almost behind you, pushing you along. It's really great if you want that, and I always do. He also can do the Chicago shuffle. And while a lot of drummers can do it, they can't quite do it right. It's a very specific thing. Your left hand is basically doing a shuffle groove. 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. And the right hand is doing your standard jazz, ding, ding, da, ding, ding, da, ding, ding, da, ding, ding. And doing those together with the kick on all 4s, it's tricky. It takes some coordination, and then to make it groove is even more difficult. A lot of New Orleans drummers can do this really, really well, but it's difficult to find someone who doesn't come from New Orleans to do this, and Punky can do this. Punky just has incredible energy, a great vibe. Like, he lights up the room when he comes in. His rolls are absolutely brilliant. Definitely something that's underappreciated. And his storytelling on his drum solos. He can really tell a story. If you give him a nice long, let him build into it, pretty fantastic. You can actually hear an example of this on You're in Van Nuys on my album Mirror Point. He really tells a nice story. The heads up on Punky is be prepared to have all the things he's going to need there for him. Do not expect him to bring drums. Do not expect anything. He is very accustomed to backline. He plays with those kind of people. He plays those kind of gigs. They have the stuff there for them. So if you hire him, make sure you have a good kit there. Make sure it's tuned. Make sure you have cymbals. He's shown up at my studio and not even brought sticks. Okay? So have it all. He has a deal, an endorsement deal with Prinzi, so sometimes he'll bring cymbals, but do not expect him to have cymbals there. So something surprising about Punky that you may not know, that along with being a really good songwriter and producer, he's also a really, really good singer. And when the first Brunette single came out, I called him to tell him how much I liked it and said, yeah, and by the way, who's the vocalist? It's great. And he's like, that's me. I'm like, what? I had no idea. So yeah, great drummer, great singer, Sammy Punky Balfour. The second drummer I want to tell you about is James Prinzi. James came to my studio for a session with the bass player Andrew Hill. Andrew Hill, great bass player. Another story for another time. I hit it off with James right away. Great guy. I'm sure everybody gets along with him right away. He's just that kind of guy. I was very impressed with his playing. Jazz and rock and everything, just really good. Solid reader. So I was like, just locked it in my head. I want to hire this guy as soon as I can. I brought James in to play on the second Distinguished Devils album. because I wanted to play with an entire band. I needed somebody who could read and everybody recording at the same time, so there's a little room for error, mistakes, overdub, punch in, nothing. It's got to go down right. He did a great job, and you can hear it on that album, Return of the Distinguished Devils. Something unique about James, along with being a great guy, great drummer, he's actually very adept at recording equipment. I had a session one time where I was doing 32 simultaneous tracks, and I had 3 interfaces, and 2 of them were sort of fighting with each other, and I was having a little difficulty with the monitor mix. He was able to come in and help me out, and we troubleshot the problem and fixed it pretty quickly, and we're back up and running fast. So he's a gear guy, he's a tech guy, good to have along with the drumming. The heads up on James is availability. He's currently on the road with Alec Benjamin, for any of you Alec Benjamin fans out there, which makes his availability spotted. So book him in advance. Check when he's going to be in town. Try to make sure your schedule locks up with his so you can get him. Because don't expect to call him up and be there this weekend, because he's probably not going to be. The surprising thing, and one of the things I found, well, it surprised me, James is very good looking, which is nice. I guess if you're playing with Alec Benjamin, whose primary audience is females, good to have a good looking drummer. Not that the other guys aren't good looking. He just struck me as very attractive when he walked in the door. I was like, whoa, okay. So that's James Prinzi. The third drummer I want to tell you about, Jason Preschko. I call him Smokey. Gave him the nickname mostly because it's fun to yell, Smokey! Smokey! Whenever I see him. In the Italian culture, the big hello, that's a thing. So if you get the big hello, that means people like you. And also in the Italian culture, nicknames. So if somebody gives you a nickname and the big hello, that means we really like you. And I really like him. He's a great guy, great drummer. Definitely one of my favorite people on the planet. Jason has played on 4 of my albums, and he's currently all over the new one I'm working on. In fact, he's the only drummer on Dead Drop. Dead Drop is an album that I made. It's kind of tricky to play to because it's half organic instruments and half very electronic instruments and lots of sounds and weird things going on. So you really have to be able to lock into that. And Jason can lock really well to the click, but yet still make it groove and still interact and speak with all that weird electric stuff that's going without stepping on it. He's the perfect guy. He's on every single song. That's why he's on the back cover with me. He was the perfect guy for the album. The thing that makes Jason unique is he has an amazing ability to lock to the click track. He can play in odd time signatures, and he reads really, really well. So if you need someone to come in, read it down one time, nail it, not slip off the click, just bang, bang, bang. Anything you throw at him, this guy can play. He's like a machine. A lot of drummers can play in odd time signatures, but Jason can really make it groove. Like he kind of lives in that zone. It's his comfort area. So he's not thrown, he's not overthinking it. He's just grooving in those odd time signatures. So if you got something weird like that, give him a call. The heads up about Jason Preschko is don't expect a whole bunch of overplaying or fancy drum fills. Jason plays the song. Lots of other drummers do that. This guy comes in, plays what's needed. And there's a lot of acts out there where, hey, drummer, it's not about you. It's about the singer. It's about the act. It's about something else. They want you just to play the song. And if that's the deal, Jason is your guy. Well, if you want someone who brings all the bells and whistles, hire somebody else. But if you want someone to show up on time, be prepared, know the material, and play the song, Jason Preschko is your first call. A surprising thing you probably didn't know about Jason is that he has written 3 drum instructional books for Mel Bay. How about that? There's a lot of drummers out there who say they want to write a drum instructional book, but he's actually done it 3 times. Jason Preschko. The 4th drummer I want to tell you about, Gary Ponder. I've probably known Gary the longest, maybe 20 years. Go back a long way. He's played on tons of my recordings, records, live shows. Been good friends for a very long time. In fact, Gary is the only drummer on my album Panic Plan. I build it as featuring Gary Ponder because he is very integral in the way that album sounds. What makes Gary unique is that if you do want all the bells and whistles, Gary is your man. He does everything from the crazy, wild drum fills. He could overplay anything you want. It's so inventive, very creative on those drums, all kinds of stuff. Amazing drum intros. Give him some space in a song to branch out, you will not be disappointed. He brings the heat, all kinds of fire. The heads up you should know about Gary Ponder is it's going to be difficult to get him out of his Michigan sleeveless t-shirts that he loves so much. I mean, he'll put on a suit. If you pay him well, give him the right gig, he'll put on the suit and do the gig, but he prefers to wear his rock and roll clothes. Gary reminds me of a kid that doesn't want to get dressed up to go to church. So if you have the right gig, let him wear his rock and roll clothes. I promise you, he'll play his ass off for you. Something surprising about Gary that you may not know, he's super handy. And I don't mean like handy, he's a handyman. This guy really knows construction. Not just construction and woodworking, but plumbing, electrical, roofing, all the things that go in and around that. And he's a craftsman at it. He does it extremely well. In fact, he put in the sound window in this particular studio, and it's beautiful. So again, another amazing extra talent that this outstanding drummer has. Before I go, I want to give honorable mentions to a couple other drummers. Caro Galagian. I've only got to do one show with him. He played a gig for me at Saboba Casino. Excellent job. Exceeded expectations. I'm looking forward to hiring him again. Adrian Peak came to my studio, did a session with C.H. McCoy, and his years of experience really showed. Amazing drummer. Looking forward to working with him again. So a big thank you to all the drummers I've worked with over the years, especially these guys. You've made my songs really, really excellent, really come to life. As a drummer myself, I really have an appreciation of how good you are and how much you do bring to the table and how much you're worth. So my recommendation, again, hire these guys, pay them well because they are worth it. So if you don't live in Los Angeles and you want to hire these guys, give me a call, shoot me an email. You could send me your tracks. I'll have the drummer come in, we'll track them here in my studio, send them back to you, and you have amazing tracks for your song. I'm Vinnie Corbo. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.